when we say that a child is a soul and that we need to be in awe, and that will change not only how we behave toward them, but even our feelings toward them. I want to get more specific. What that means is that every child, and this is axiomatic, this is across the board, without exception, is worthy. They are worthy. And the most important idea that I can impress upon you here is that one word, worthy. You know what it is to feel unworthy? To feel that you don't matter? It's one of the worst, most destabilizing feelings that a person can have. This is to feel that I do matter, that I am worthy, that I don't have to make excuses for my existence. I don't have to apologize for being here. God put me here and I belong here. And a child gains that feeling, a sense of belonging and a sense of being able to be present and not having to make excuses for their own existence. Where do they gain that from? From the family, from the way their parents regard them. And what do we mean by this? What we mean is that every child is unconditionally worthy, infinitely worthy, intrinsically worthy. I use those three different adverbs: unconditionally, infinitely, intrinsically. What does that mean? And I apologize. I know these are deep concepts. I know that still for many of you, it's a little bit of a bait and switch. Like, did I come here for a philosophy course? This is way, way too deep. And I get that. But I think if you came this far, you see that this stuff does make a change in your life. I know this is deep stuff. I know this is a lot of philosophy. I know it's a lot of spirituality. But I think if you came this far, you do see that when you absorb these ideas, it does make a difference in your day-to-day life. And in fact, I would assert that this kind of deep thinking has a much bigger effect on your day-to-day life than tips and tricks that you could memorize and check off on a list. Okay. So let me talk about this idea that every child is intrinsically worthy, infinitely worthy, unconditionally worthy. What does that mean? That means intrinsically worthy means my worth comes from myself. I don't have to go out and acquire it. I don't have to go out and get it. You know that they've studied children's self-esteem, and they found that little children generally have great self-esteem, and around the age of 5 years old, their self-esteem plummets. And the prevailing theory is it has to do with schoolification, that when children go to school, their self-esteem plummets. And the simple reason is because inherently something happens in school where all of a sudden my identity becomes relative to comparing myself to my classmates. Until I go off to school, I'm just me. I am whoever I am. You go to school, and especially when there's any sense of being graded or your performance is being evaluated, it can affect a child's sense of worth. All of a sudden, they say, maybe I'm not so worthy. You know, I didn't get a candy for having the right answer. So intrinsically worthy means I don't have to go out and do anything to acquire my worth. Intrinsic means it's built in, it's inherent. It's who I am, which we know means my soul, my true essential identity is worthy already. So that's intrinsically worthy. Infinitely worthy means there's no limit to it. And no limit to it means that just like you can't take away from it, you can't add to it, because if something's truly infinite, you can't even add to it. Again, I apologize for the philosophy here, but if something's truly infinite, not only you can't make it smaller, you can't make it any bigger than it is because it's already infinite, which what that means is I'm already as worthy as I possibly could be. I don't have to do anything to become more worthy. And unconditionally worthy is tied into the first two ideas of intrinsically worthy and infinitely worthy. Unconditionally worthy means no matter what I do, I will always be worthy. And here's what we need to understand. There's what our children do, and there's who our children are. I'm going to repeat that. There's what our children do, and there's who our children are. I'm not a fool, and I'm not deluded. I understand there's something called misbehavior, and we have to deal with misbehavior. And in fact, in class 6 of the 6-week course, we'll talk all about how to adjust unwanted behaviors. It's the last class for a reason, by the way, because by the time we get to week 6, we're almost not going to need that tool. But yeah, we have to deal with misbehavior. There is such a thing as that's not the right thing to do. I'm not saying everything a child does is right, but that's quite separate from who a child is. And a child has to know that you know that who they are is intrinsically worthy, infinitely worthy, unconditionally worthy. And therefore, we are unconditionally proud of them. This is a term that I started saying a few years ago. I was given a lot of pushback for it. I get less and less pushback for it as time goes on. In fact, other people started saying it as well, caught on. But a few years ago, I said, look, once upon a time, unconditional love was a weird idea. People said, well, come on, you can't love your child no matter what. But then people grew into the idea and they realized unconditional love. I'm pushing it even further. And I'm saying, no, unconditional pride. See, unconditional love is, you know what? I love you, but I can't stand to be around you. In fact, you make me miserable. You make me sick. I'm embarrassed of you. Please go away until you improve. Everyone's cringing. I hope you're cringing. Do you know that parents speak to their children that way on a daily basis? Do you know that good people, moral people, sweet people, kind people who wouldn't purposely hurt a fly say things like that to their children, say things like that to their children on a daily basis and think that it's helpful or somehow justified? Unconditional pride means not only do I love you no matter what, but I'm proud of you no matter what. And they're going to say, how can I be proud of him? He's doing terrible things. You're not proud of what he's doing. That's a separate thing. That's a total separate thing. But look at who he is and who he remains to be no matter what he's doing. He is a soul. And Yisrael, even like the Gemara says, even at the time when he's sinning, he retains his identity.
Hey, this is Rabbi Shais Taub. You were just watching a clip from my 6-week online parenting course, which I offer about once or twice a year. We're opening up enrollment right now for another cohort of that course. If you want to get in on it, there's information how to register in the description of this video below. Hope to see you there.